Today on Hot Takes, Big Stakes, we're joined by Loren Castle, founder of Sweet Loren. What started as a small idea in her kitchen after finding out she had cancer has grown into a national brand reshaping the cookie aisles. Loren shares how she scaled a food business with limited resources, iterated on packaging and recipes, and found a way to bring allergen-free, better-for-you cookies to major retailers like Whole Foods, Publix, and more across the country. From surviving the challenges of startup life to building a team that could take the company to the next level, Loren's story is all about resilience, creativity, and listening to what customers really want. Loren, thank you so much for coming. I kind of just want to go into the story a little bit from the beginning, like how it came to be. I know that you had cancer, and that had a lot to do with the curation of why the brand is what it is. And it's now one of the biggest, fastest growing food companies. So can you tell us how the idea started?
Sure. So I was in college. I grew up in New York. I went to USC for college out here, went back home right after I graduated. And I just woke up one morning. The lymph nodes in my neck were really swollen. It just was, nothing I think a 22-year-old is ever thinking, like I could really be sick. I just thought maybe I have mono. And I went to my mother's doctor who unfortunately was an oncologist. She was dealing with a type of cancer. So when he looked at me, he was like, you either have nothing at all or Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I just didn't even Google. I just didn't even Google it because I was like, there's just no way that I have cancer at 22 years old. It took a month of testing to figure out what was wrong. Nothing showed up in my blood work. It just wasn't obvious. They had to do a biopsy eventually of a lymph node, and I had stage 2 Hodgkin's lymphoma and had to start 6 months of chemotherapy. And it was the first time in my life that I really kind of hit rock bottom. I just crashed into a wall. I felt like all my plans, all the things I was excited for, everything was halted, and it became all about health. I just realized health is truly everything. And for a couple of months, I was quite depressed, trying to just, adjust. The medicine was quite harsh, just figuring out how to keep myself busy. I couldn't have a full-time job. All my friends are off partying, getting their first full-time jobs, loving life, feeling invincible. And here I was with such a big reality check. And so after about 2 months, I saw a therapist, and she really helped me kind of realize how powerful the mind is and how powerful you have the power to really change the trajectory of how you feel about something. So I could either keep going down this road of woe is me, I'm so depressed, I can't believe this happened to me, this isn't fair, hopeless, or how do I figure out how to actually make this a superpower? How do I figure out how to get through this, get through the other side, and figure out how to just, control my mind to make sure that I'm thinking positively and bringing good things into my life that give me joy and give me excitement for the future, and just kind of accept what's happening and build a future I'm really excited about. And so that was the beginning stage of just being okay, then what do I want to do with my time? And so food just was obvious to me, the food is so important to your energy levels. And I was so sensitive during that time that I started studying nutrition, and I was no one's taught nutrition, just simply just what are the healthier oils to eat? What are the types of flours you should be eating? Maybe what's the right variety of vegetables or grains or, protein? And so I started to take cooking classes. I signed up for a masterclass in cooking on the days I didn't have treatment. I started studying nutrition and just became a good cook for myself. And I was I just want to feed myself delicious food that gives me energy so that I can fight this and thrive. And, became a good cook. And realized man, I have such a sweet tooth. And there is nothing. There's no bakery, no packaged product that's so delicious, but actually made of ingredients I feel I can trust and that are really clean and not inflammatory. And so I was I got to figure that out. I'm going to recreate a chocolate chip cookie. A warm chocolate chip cookie is the most.
Just for yourself though?
Just for myself. This was not a business idea.
Were you still in school?
No, I just graduated college. I was 22. I think in my head I was going to either get a job or get my MBA. But obviously at this point I'm just home. I treatment every other week. So I kind of had 1 week where I felt lousy, 1 week where I felt good. But so I tried to keep myself just busy with things that were gonna be good for me. So I was nutrition, I just was always interested in it. Becoming a good cook, I was that's a good life skill. But again, not to like be a chef in a restaurant, not to have a business. This was really just for me. But when I started remaking like a warm chocolate chip cookie, I took several, like hundreds of batches. It's not like I nailed it on the first day. But the response from other people is what made me go, should this be a business?
And what were you differentiating in that cookie, having just like gone through nutrition classes and learned about like what you as a surviving cancer patient needed to, eat better sweets?
Totally. I think my biggest aha was just like, I don't want to be on a weird diet for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to feel like I can eat my favorite foods. And I do feel like treats get a bad rap. Like they're like, oh, like there's so empty, so terrible for you. But I feel like there's a lot of superfoods that you can put in treats and baked goods and just throw away all like the junk and artificial and processed stuff. And actually like it's still a treat, but like it could give you like energy and joy and things that I think are really important in your daily life, So I think a lot of people just were like, whoa, this feels elevated. Like I can taste the difference in quality. I think I realized like I'm an entrepreneur. Like I'm miserable kind of working for someone else.
Same.
It's like I'm pretty unemployable at this point. Life is short. I saw that firsthand. And so I just didn't want to like do a job that I didn't love, that didn't light me up, that didn't have a sense of purpose, that, I wasn't excited about every day. And so somehow like, even though I was like working for other companies, trying a bunch of things out, I'd still come home at night and recipe test. And once I saw that after a while, I was like, man, like it's clearly like something I just love.
And you were writing down the recipes as you go.
Oh my God,
if you nailed a
notebooks.
batch, you knew.
Yeah, notebooks and notebooks. And it's not a 1-for-1. It's not like take the classic chocolate chip cookie recipe that's out there and just sub out 1 cup for 1 cup like oat flour. Like, it doesn't work like that. So it's like just so much minute tweaking. And I think I realized and kind of got excited about how difficult baking is and like what science it is and chemistry. And I was just fascinated. And I was like fascinated with solving like how to put more superfoods, just like better quality ingredients in people's favorite baked goods.
Yeah.
And so, it was just really looking at like, a couple, of course, like your friends are going to be like, this is great. But like when you start to see like strangers at parties and just like this super wow factor of like, what? You can do this without the junk? Like, of course I want to buy something like this. When I heard that enough times, I think just something in me was like, Loren, you got to do this.
Yeah.
Or at least check it out.
Yeah. And so were you kind of already doing farmers markets and stuff at this point? Or was this after you quit your job and you were like, okay, I'm going to give this a go and get it out there?
So I quit my job. I entered a baking contest. I won. And like, again, I don't think of myself as really a baker. I just was like solving my own problem, And so it's like kind of funny to enter a baking contest. But, when I won, the judge said to me, you need to do something with this.
Wow.
And it was just incredible validation from like an incredible pastry chef, like not family and friends.
Yeah.
And I think at that point too, I just was so miserable working in other companies. And I was even like waitressing on the side. It got to the point where I just was like, you couldn't even pay me like $1 million to go and do that job again tomorrow. Like I just was so like it felt so soulless, that I just was like, I will do anything. I will work however hard it takes to get this business off the ground because I clearly want to do something for myself.
And what was the business?
So I did not know. All I had was like literally a binder of recipes. Like I had brownie recipes,
like
cookie
chip?
recipes. Yeah. Like, and I had crazy flavors like this espresso chocolate chunk. I'm in New York City where like, it's like edgy. I want, Brooklyn, edgy. There's, I'm thinking like this is the world whereas, now I realize like what the nationally most favorite flavors are, like nationwide, not just like, edgy Brooklyn or New York City. But I had an espresso chocolate chunk. I had, of course, the classic chocolate chunk. I had a fudgy brownie. I had a peanut butter oatmeal. Like I had all these kind of fun, slightly different flavors. And so when I won this contest, what I won was actually like a table at this like that's like really well-known farmers market, flea market type thing that's like known for cool food in Brooklyn. So I did that. That was, again, really good sampling, like really good, trial of the product and just seeing what flavors people liked. And I made a bunch of things. It wasn't just cookies. I had like these muffins and granola bars. And I was trying out so many different things. And then I decided I really needed a business plan, and I really needed to understand what kind of business I was going to go into. And so I joined this it was like a workshop in business opportunity. It was like you met every week for 12 weeks to write a business plan. And so I also used to work at Levan Bakery. Do you know that? But yeah. So that was my neighborhood bakery growing up. And so I worked there like in college. And I just fell in love with like this, how special warm, fresh baked goods are. Like people would line up around the block. Like it was people's favorite part of the day, how people celebrate. And so I was like, maybe I'll open a bakery. So anyway, it really was great to like work every week on this business plan and look at like, what would it cost to open a bakery? Where would I want to open it up? Like, do I want that lifestyle? And I like quickly realized like, I don't want to be beholden to like some certain square footage and have it be open 7 days a week and have to sell X amount of, product to just make rent, So I quickly pivoted to like a CPG, like a consumer packaged product that could be in a grocery store, because to me that gave me freedom, which was what I wanted as an entrepreneur, and a way to reach as many people as possible and not just be in one city, that I'm only reaching whoever can walk by. So again, this course was really helpful for me just to get clarity that I definitely wanted a packaged product. And in my class was this guy that worked in Whole Foods. Like I'm talking restocking the shelf in the overnight shift, because his dream was to open up like a bike shop. So and I'm always bringing the cookies, every week, because I'm like, guys, help me eat these. And he was like, so I was like, how does one get into Whole Foods? I have no idea. And he was like, let me ask, my manager. And so he calls me the next day and he's like, you have a meeting on Wednesday with like the head buyer of Whole Foods.
And you didn't even
City.
have.
And I didn't have a packaged product.
What?
That's actually insane. Okay.
I literally was like, I hate you, Corey. Like, I don't want to seem unprofessional. My website said coming soon because I didn't.
Didn't have a name though, Sweet Loren.
It had Sweet Loren's. But it didn't, I didn't know if it was going to be like a cookie mix, cookie dough, baked cookies. Like I was still figuring out what the product was. So, and then my mom had gotten sent this like really fancy box of chocolates in like this big red box. And I just took out those chocolates. I made fresh cookies that morning. Like I made like 10 of my top flavors, put them in that box, made a Sweet Loren sticker and put it on top and I wrote a 1-pager about like the story of Sweet Loren's, the types of ingredients we would use, the different products we could create.
This is so crazy.
This is like this is the scrappiest thing I've ever heard.
And by the way, like this
who was your meeting with? What level person?
It was the dairy buyer, which like, cookie doughs and like the dairy set. And so, near butter, near milk, so he was the dairy buyer and like he had a boss and everything. So like, but I met him and he had 2 kids. And so he was like, I love this concept of like a brand and he loved the taste of the cookies. Like, I love this concept. Like no one's really built the next brand name in like natural, simple ingredient, clean ingredient cookie dough.
Your insight.
And I was like, exactly. Like, and like that, that's what I think I was always envisioning. But like to hear someone in such an incredible store say that was just so validating. And we looked all around the store. We looked at baking mixes and we're like, well, those don't move that fast. We looked at baked cookies and we were like, well, you could do that, but it would take a lot more R&D. Plus like something warm out of the oven is always going to be such a delicious wow factor versus something packaged on shelf, And so I realized like cookie dough was what they wanted, was what they were excited about. And by the way, like that was my instinct too over the last couple years of testing out with friends and family. Like so many people just wanted to buy the cookie dough for me because they wanted to be able to make it warm and fresh for their kids that night. Like they didn't want to buy the cookies. They wanted to have the experience of baking it. They wanted to have it on hand to bake cookies whenever they wanted. So people are obsessed with cookie dough. I think it's America's favorite food. Like
no, we just eat the dough out. We don't even bake them.
It just was a big aha. He called me the next day and was like, I had a meeting with my whole leadership team and we've like never tasted something so good. How soon can we get it? And I was like,
that's insane. You didn't even have a business yet.
I didn't even have a business. I'm crying walking on the streets of New York City. I will never forget that feeling of just feeling so validated. And that like you kind of feel crazy when you're like working in your kitchen on these crazy recipes, like, and then your friends really get it. And just to feel validated and like, oh my God, just the opportunity. Like, and I just knew I didn't want to work for anyone else. So I was like, I'm going to take this and give it 110% because this is my dream. Like this is a way to turn this negative thing that happened to me into like the biggest, brightest part of my life. And so I think it was just, it inspired me to like reach big and dream big. So I told him, amazing, I'm so grateful. It'll take a month to like figure, design the product.
You just made that
definitely
up.
doesn't feel like enough time.
And it took 7 months working my butt off. I mean, it was a one-woman show, working every day, figuring it out, and I found
packaging
a factory,
and
product.
And that's quite quick, 7 months.
I agreed, but also the product looked quick. Like I wouldn't say our first packaging was like, 10 out of 10. But what happened is when I launched it, I demoed in that store. My agreement was like, I will demo this every week. So like I would take like a rolly suitcase with a toaster oven in my suitcase with like a spatula and whatever, and get to Whole Foods and, stand in the refrigerated section for 3 hours and do demos. And so it was so exhausting, but the New York City stores are so busy. So it's not like you meet 10 people, like you're meeting hundreds of people, which was such gold when you're
and
trying.
How many stores was that at this?
I just got into one store. Okay. So one store demoing it, then I started to get into like a couple other stores, but I was really only in a couple stores for a while. You definitely heard a lot of opportunity for improvement, but what I heard more than not was, this is brilliant. Of course I would buy a brand that stands for like clean and better for you, and the taste is so good. Like I love this. Why has no one else done this? So when I heard that enough, it just like, again, feeling a little like a crazy entrepreneur, it really validated my instinct, and it made me just say like, Loren, keep going. Like there is something here, people want it. And so part of that contest that I won also branding and design work. So they helped me redesign my OG packaging to something that was much brighter, popped off shelf. And that's where like the white and pink kind of that we're known for now really started to come through on our package. And that was the beginning of really like.
I love that there was like a toaster oven involved, because you almost didn't realize it, but by like making them there, you're just like intriguing the entire senses of the store. Like who can ignore the smell of fresh cookies as opposed to just serving up like pre-made cookies?
Absolutely.
Like there's an extra element of like appeal. But I also just want to talk about like, you had a branding designer, you're in a store. Like how do you go from that to like a packaged good, and how did you protect the original recipe? Because things will have come up where they were like, we can't do this, it needs to be like store safe, live on the shelves, all these different things. I'm sure I don't know anything about making food.
No, it was such a journey. Like I found this factory 3-hour bus ride from New York City. So I didn't have my own car. So I just like take this crazy bus all the way upstate. And this factory was totally open to doing cookie dough, but they'd never done it before. So like I was like, cool, like I'm going to be teaching you guys. It's not like they had so much knowledge to teach me. But I had called other much bigger cookie dough factories. Their minimum runs were just so huge. I just couldn't say yes to that when I just needed to really test the concept, and make sure it worked. And I didn't even know how bad the branding was, like the OG branding was.
I can't wait to see a pic of that.
Yeah, I know. I'll show you. So I just was like, we just kept iterating. So it went from my, small mixer to like, let's do 30 pounds at the factory. Let's bring it to 60. Let's go to 100. And like, we threw out a couple of the first batches because they, the portions, you can't just like triple the recipe. It definitely is chemistry and needs tweaking, but we got there, and I think I knew the ingredients so well because I've just played with these flours and baking soda and like all the ingredients like so much that like I really like, they talk to me. Like I'm like, okay, I know we need less of this and more of this. So yeah, we got there, but I definitely have iterated the product even since then. So like that, that was really like year 1, year 2 of Sweet Loren's on the shelf. And then I started to go to Expo West, the biggest natural, trade show. And I actually started getting incredible interest from like other top buyers around the country, retailers across the country. But, they had different requirements. Like they were like, it needs to be refrigerated. It needs to be like pre-portioned, where someone can make 1 or 2 at a time. And all these things totally made sense to me. And it's what the customer wanted. But I realized like I had to move to like another factory. And so redesigned packaging again and found a top factory. Like I'd gotten on the Today Show. So being only in a couple Whole Foods and getting on the Today Show just made us look so big. Yeah. Even though I was still.
But it's just you.
Oh, so literally just me.
And how were you funding
this? An intern. So I lived at home.
Yeah.
I barely pay myself. I was teaching yoga on the side. And like, I just used a small amount of my savings. I just was like, I'm going to, you know, and we were only in a couple Whole Foods. Like, I just kept things small. We were not paying for marketing. We really weren't doing, you know, I really just needed to feel like that it was tested enough, that there was really enough product market fit that even if we would tweak more, that like I could then figure out how to really go big, you know, and like figure out what the next stage was. But I just wanted to like really prove the concept, like this is worth it. This is worth me going all in. If I needed to raise money, that it was worth raising money. This factory took us on really because of like the Today Show and Whole Foods, and I just kept calling them for like 6 months. So finally they were like, okay, Loren, we'll try you out for a year. And so that really helped us kind of get to a factory that was highly scalable, that had incredible quality. So then I got the product into Publix and Kroger supermarkets, like full distribution, like by myself in those meetings, which is our other crazy
and
stories.
no other people. It was literally just you still.
It's me, and like I probably then have like one person full time that's like marketing / assistant /
no D2C going on?
No D2C really, because when refrigerated is difficult. We do D2C now, but it's difficult because, you know, you have to buy like 6 packs at a time to like have it ship overnight and make it worth it. You know, our product is really sold in supermarkets, you know, in like the refrigerated section. So the really interesting thing about getting into Publix and Kroger supermarkets was you were basically in every state then. Like I went from just being in the Northeast, really knowing New York area, to saying, oh my God, nationwide, does everyone want a product like this? Like how mass is this product? How helpful, how much better, you know, does it make people's lives? And I started to get hundreds of messages in from people that just were like, your product has changed my life. I can't tell you how much better I feel. And then a lot of requests of like, can you do a gluten-free line or a nut-free line? And like all these kind of allergen-free requests, which I think sounded really niche back then, but I couldn't ignore like my instinct and just like how many people were asking me, and how frustrating it was for people that either had a friend or like a family member that was staying away from something, whatever that is. That it really just means you have to like eat completely differently than the rest of your family. Like this person has to eat all different food and you have to cook 2 different meals, and just the stress of it. I was like, there's something here. And no one else is going to solve this problem. And like, we're the better for you modern brand. Like, we need to listen and help solve this problem. So found a factory that was allergen free, tweaked the recipe so it was like free of gluten, eggs, dairy, soy, nuts, and just was like, let's try chocolate chunk, one flavor. Got into Publix and Kroger, again, such mass retailers to really test it on. And it became our number 1 SKU overnight. So then again, we like kind of tweaked the brand just to be like, now Sweet Loren's today, everything, you know, is free of gluten and dairy and nuts and soy, but at the same time, it's really just about like super quality, delicious ingredients and like simple, clean ingredients. And so that hopefully you kind of capture everyone that doesn't want to eat kind of.
The allergy thing is so interesting because you were very innovative there, like ahead of your times. I told you all this, you know this, but I have my 4.5-year-old son is like crazy allergic to milk, nuts, and eggs.
Wow.
And so there's just now there's more that exists, but it's like birthday parties, I have to bring him things. So it's like,
stressful.
I'm a super fan because I know that I can just bake a few of these cookies, bring it with me. So that was so smart to get on the allergy trend before it became a thing. And do you think that's what made you blow up? I kind of feel like you don't even see top free from all top 9 or 11, 14. You just don't see that often.
It is so competitive out there. Like, you guys know, like the only way to really win in supermarkets against huge big food is to be like, to really solve a big problem and to really do something that's so differentiated that like you can own a certain price point, you can own a certain market, and that you're like really incremental to the category versus just, you know, competing for the same audience. And so I listened to my instinct, and like everyone else was telling me like, Loren, allergen free, this is weird and niche. And I was like, you have no idea how many millions of people are out there with like, whether it's a food allergy or just a lifestyle. We kind of solve a lot of the problems that there's not a lot of room for someone else to come in if like they were just vegan or just gluten free. It's like, you know, we're those things and more.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned that like getting into those big stores, there's still so much competition, right? Like, it's definitely, you created a moat around the fact that you made something really tasty that is hard to make because you took out most of the ingredients that make it really tasty. But do you feel like there was other things that you then learned once you hit those shop floors that helped push product? Like, was it changing the packaging? Like, what were those kind of that learning curve to like, oh, this is how I sell in a Whole Foods versus this is how I sell in a Publix?
What I'm so proud of is that like we're the #1 cookie dough in like a Whole Foods, but also like, you know, do so well in like a Publix or a Target or like, you know, Kroger, like a more mass supermarket.
Yeah.
So I think what it proved to me, which was, you know, and I didn't know, like once I got it on the shelf, I think those buyers said yes to me for 2 reasons. Those buyers at the time for Publix and Kroger were both men, and they were touched by the story of Sweet Loren's when like I told them, you know, why I started it. And when they looked at the data of the refrigerated dough category, it was flat or declining because it just kind of had these big players in it that weren't starting to like read the room on like the trends that were starting to grow for just like today's consumer. And so I think they were like, if I don't do anything innovative here, like it's going to probably continue to be flat or declining. So like I should try something out.
Yeah.
But really what happened was I was like, I said to both of them, like, you know, they both told me they had kids and they were married. And I was like, bring these home to your wives and see what she says. And I just realized how powerful like mom is in a lot of families. You know, it's a big generalization. It's definitely not every family, but like mom is still, you know, 70, 80% of the shopper who's like controlling the food that goes in homes. And so I wanted to hear true feedback. Like, is this too niche or is this brilliant, you know? And, you know, both their wives were just so like, oh, this is great. Now I have something to have on hand that, of course, I want to give this to our kids. It's like a better version of what's out there. And so, you know, again, I just like listened to that gut instinct of like, there really is something here. I just got to build it because it's hard to be this new brand no one's heard of up against brands that have been around for decades.
I mean, the product really spoke for itself.
It's still that way. Like, I don't care how flashy your marketing is or whatever. Like, to me, it's all about product. Like, if it's not a delicious experience and taste, we don't launch it. You know, I really like the product has to be great, and then additional marketing and getting distribution and all this stuff can help it. But like, people are so discerning, especially about their cookies. Like, it has to be worth the calories. It has to be worth the indulgence. So delicious has always been like a very high bar. But, you know, and we're trying to find that balance of like, I'm not trying to create something that's made of kale and banana and blueberry, right? Like, it's still a cookie, but like, how wholesome can I make it where it's still decadent, but you feel good afterwards? And just finding that balance, and honestly, just really listening to the customer, you know? Yeah. And so the customer has always been very vocal with us, like the amount of messages I personally get, this brand gets on a daily basis, and you start to see the same requests. So like, for instance, a couple years ago, we were just asked for like, can you do like no sugar, lower sugar? And we did a ton of consumer testing to figure out like, what do people want? No sugar or just like as little as possible? And we realized like our audience really wants real ingredients. They want real taste. They want real sugar in it, just as little as possible. Some people are staying away from sugar. Some people are very sensitive to sugar. So we have like a chocolate chunk less sugar that is the same exact ingredients as our original. It's just we took out as much of the, you know, cane sugar as possible. And so it's only 6 grams of sugar per cookie, and it tastes totally delicious, sweet enough, you know? So I think like that's how we've been able to grow and be smart, is just like really listen to the customer. And this better for you customer isn't just in New York or LA. Like it really is in every state. And every state has kids or people with food allergies or people that are trying to be more vegan or trying to be less inflammatory or
nut-free schools.
Nut-free schools, or just, you know, the amount of people that just have autoimmune issues or health issues where like they want to eat their favorite foods, but like they want food that's a little more gentle on their system.
Yeah, I don't think it takes having an allergy or knowing someone with an allergy. It's like, why wouldn't, if it tastes so similar, why wouldn't you eat something that is better for you?
100%. But
right? It's better.
What?
I mean, it tastes better than what's out there. Truly, it's like, it's crazy. It speaks for itself. And
I appreciate that so much. It is $1 or $2 more expensive than the conventional. And I think some people, you know, look at that and say like, is it worth it? And I think, you know, I think the thing is, if you try to even make cookies from scratch, like just nothing's cheap anymore. Like chocolate chips alone in a grocery store, like $5, you know, it's like for a couple more dollars, just buy ours and we've everything ready for you, you know? I think when people realize like how important health is, or how hard it is actually to bake using healthier ingredients, like it can cost a lot because you have to like buy all the ingredients in big bags yourself. But when I know how much testing it's taken me, like hundreds and hundreds of trials, like I'm trying to do this to make people's lives like easier, more convenient versus like buy all these ingredients, spend $30 or whatever, and then be frustrated because it was hard to make a delicious recipe with them.
I've never made a delicious recipe out of going gluten-free or dairy-free. And I try to raise my daughter that way or like do a lot less of it. Right. And trust me, like we always end up being like, this is you can't eat. No, we're just like, you can't eat this.
Right.
Like this was a waste of time and definitely a waste of money.
and by the way, like really kids now, I mean, everyone's so picky. Like everyone's a foodie. Like, like, I give these to my 4.5-year-old and like, if it's not delicious, like she's not going to eat it. Like she'll eat and she'll tell me straight out. So I just think that we're all picky actually, and we all want really, really good quality. If I give her like a mediocre, like a conventional cookie at a birthday party, she'll like take a couple bites and just be like, I don't want this anymore. And I'm like, she can tell, like, she just can tell she doesn't feel that great after it, or it's not delicious. So why have it? So anyways, I think that the bar is definitely high, but I also think like it's a first to market concept, like a better for you baking brand. Like it's definitely gotten better over the years, but like, I think we still fight when the kind of the concept of like better for you or simple ingredients or gluten-free or dairy-free, people immediately are like, is that going to taste as good? Yeah. So like we always have to fight that, like just try us, and I think you'll love it. But I think that like it still gets a bad rap, for the last several years.
But food and bev is I know how hard it is to be in this business and the margins are so thin. How did you price the product right?
I knew I had to figure out how to go mass. But the original recipe, once we got that into major stores, we were really pressed on price. Like we had to be very close, similar to conventional products. Mm-hmm. And our products were so different. Like, and I'm buying them at such smaller volume too, that like, my margin wasn't healthy in the beginning. But when we went all allergen free, we were really able to raise our price point $1 or $2 to like really cover the cost of these more expensive ingredients and have a healthy business where like we could promote when we needed to and go on promotion and like play the supermarket game and really compete, but compete really against ourselves building this new category of better for you versus trying to compete against conventional. Because like we'll never win that game. For the ingredients, our product is such a deal. Like again, if you have to buy these separately, you're spending way more money. The market has finally caught up with us in terms of like people now are like, okay, this is awesome. Because like I know how hard it is to bake from scratch by myself. I know how expensive these raw ingredients are. Like I'm super grateful for the product, but it took education, awareness, and just growth over the last couple of years to kind of get people to feel like this is normalized.
Yeah. Natalie, what's the hardest, most stressful part about running Vala?
Honestly, dealing with sales tax and all of the letters you get from different state agencies.
Oh my God, it's the worst. Anytime I get a letter from the State Department of Revenue, I literally don't know what to do. I just freak out and leave it. And then I get in trouble later.
Exactly. As your business grows, states start charging you filing frequency and they notify you by mail. And if you forget to log into the state portal, hello penalties, ask me how I know.
Yeah, I literally have nightmares about this.
That's why Bala uses numeral. They literally open the letters, and if they have to do something, they scan it, they file it. If something needs action, registrations, filing, they just do it. They manage the whole thing.
So if you want to stop worrying about sales tax and all the annoying filings and mail that comes with it, book a free demo with Numeral and talk to one of their tax experts today. I read somewhere that you guys are forecasting 120 million this year, which is incredible and amazing. Can you talk about like what has changed in the business? Like I know it went from like you on the Today Show, but like at what stages did you bring in new people, and like how have you thought about that as somebody who was a first-time founder?
I mean, what I've definitely learned is team is the most crucial, most important part. And I was a one-woman show for way too long. Like, I think I just was in survival mode, going, once you put yourself in that position where like, you don't even have time to hire people. Yeah. Like you kind of are just trying to keep the wheels on the bus versus, wow, I should think about sustainability. I should think about my strengths and complementing myself, with people that have, that are smarter in other ways than me. And how do I build out a full round out team? But we really wanted to work on being profitable. And so 8 years ago, so I kept the team, everything was so lean. And then we got to profitability about 8 years ago and just and we've always run the company with like a 3-year business plan. So like I just have a very clear like, okay, for the next 3 years, what feels like it's a reach, but actually like doable. Because I think that's also part of why we've been able to grow is just like not getting distracted by like all the opportunity and creative options that are out there. Like I'm a creative person. Like I want to say yes to like all the fun collabs and like new flavors. But at the end of the day, when you realize like it is so hard to do just anything right and well, like the last thing I want to do is distract the business or the team from just executing on what's going to like truly move the needle and what's most important. Started to hire a team. You know, once we got into Publix and Kroger, I hired my first like full-time real person who is our VP of sales, who's still with us today. And because I knew that like you get one chance with those big retailers.
Yeah.
Like I needed someone who had that experience, who like wasn't going to mess that up. And then I hired a COO to help me manage the factory because now we've switched to another factory. And
I mean, I can't even believe you got into that
inventory, the shelf
retail
life.
without having those people.
It is crazy. But I needed to know that money was coming in to be able to hire them.
Yeah.
And so like, you know, it was like that careful balance of like, yeah. And so I realized like how important networking was. Like I really tried to network the hell out of New York City and at trade shows and just meet as many good people as possible in the industry because I'm not from the food industry. I had no friends in the industry. Like you realize it's so specific. Like you really need people that have like been in this industry a while and definitely went through the hard but exciting part about growing fast is that every year or two, you're like a different company. And so, you know, we brought on people and like they worked for a year or two and then all of a sudden like maybe they couldn't grow to that next stage. And it's been a bumpy decade. It's not like I've had the same team this whole time.
Yeah.
How big is the team now?
Now we are like 30, I think 1 people.
That is not a lot for 120. I love the way you bootstrapped a very profitable business. 31 people for 120 revenue, unheard of.
We've kept it so lean and really tried to only hire rock stars.
Yeah.
Like people that just like can do more than a normal one person, people that love like, excelling and like
the way.
And like we are going to hire I think we have like 10 more people we'll probably hire over the next year. So like probably like 40-ish people, but like we're not going to 100. And like we really try to create just really great systems so that things feel doable but streamlined. And we're all a remote organization now. So like the pros and cons of that, you know, where you can hire the best talent, doesn't matter where they're based, but just keeping everyone really aligned and close and checked in. So every year, like I feel like my head was just spinning for like the first 8 years of running the company because it just every year felt like a different company and then you needed new people and it was a whole new learning experience. The biggest thing that changed the business, well, COVID really actually helped us super scale. We were already in, you know, several thousand retailers, like probably 20,000 retailers. But what was really interesting during COVID was like the big guys' products probably were like bought first, like sold out first on the shelf because everyone has heard of them. So then like our products were just left. And it got a lot of new people to just be like,
I'm desperate.
I'm desperate.
That is crazy.
No, I'm desperate. Like I'm going to try this product, probably regret it. And they bought it and they were like, this is ridiculously delicious. I'm never buying the other stuff. Why have I never heard of this brand? And so we actually like launched our new branding, which is like this packaging, just like we updated it, you know, even more where it's really about delicious taste. Sweet Loren's, we were like known for this white and magenta pink that's like a power pink because we really studied the shelf and it really pops against the competition and it's just like fun and modern and happy. And then like you have our call outs in terms of like dairy-free, non-GMO, gluten-free, but like we try to make those as small as possible because we don't want to, you want to tell those people we exist and we are these things, but at the same time not deter anyone who's like, I don't eat those things normally.
Yeah.
So we're like all about taste. So it was so COVID people started to become more aware of health and wellness.
Yeah.
People had kids at home. People were going crazy and needed food that like just gave them joy and convenience. And so COVID, thankfully, like the benefit during COVID was just that there was just so much love for the brand. Like a lot of people were like, you got us through COVID. You were our go-to. You brought our family so much joy. And like, you know, it helped us reach a lot more people. So that was a big turning point for the business. And then additionally, and so I had my 4.5-year-old during COVID. And I saw what it was like to go on maternity leave without like a true number 2. And it was miserable. Like I barely could relax. And when I did return, like the team like was like, where were you? Like it was terrible. Things weren't. And I realized like I can never, being a mom and having family is so important to me. I definitely want that life outside of the business. But I never want to like slow down the business because I'm doing that.
Yeah.
And I realized like the only responsible thing is to hire like the best number 2 possible. And so I set the business up so that like, you know, we're profitable, we're working with top factories, we have connections to other factories, we have a clear 3-year plan. Obviously those plans slightly change over time too, but like, you know, I think there was like a roadmap of like where we're going so that when I hired someone, it was like they knew what they were signing up for.
Who was that number 2?
So I hired a president named Doug Rady.
Nice.
He came on 3 years ago, almost like to the day. I think next week is like to the day, and been the best thing ever. I was able to go on true maternity leave when I had my second daughter. We still spoke every week for like an hour and like just really built this incredible relationship of like opposite skill sets. He loves running the day-to-day. He loves managing people. He's just really incredible at like managing all the departments of the business. And I get to focus on the things that like bring me joy and are really my superpowers, which is like product and like the marketing and being the face of the brand and just like the vision and passion of where we're going. So now I'm still like, I've traveled every week for the last 6 weeks. Like I'm, you know, gone next week, you know, Monday through Thursday. Like I'm still in big retailer meetings. I'm still doing a lot of interviews and panels. I'm still going to big meetings with our factory. I'm trying to just reserve my energy and time for the things that really move the needle. And Doug has like helped hire an incredible C-suite underneath him. And so again, we'd be able to keep the team lean, but give them what they need. And just like, I appreciate teams so much because I think I could be burned out by now. Like it's been over a decade. I could end up hating the business if it overtook my family life.
Yeah.
But because we have such a strong president and team running the day-to-day, I can focus on growth. And like, if I have to travel for work, I'm not slowing down the business. Like before it used to be like, I'd have to travel for a meeting and then like 100 emails would pop up of like needing someone to decide things and help them through things. And like, you know, I just could never relax.
I always say you need, and we like disagree on this sometimes, but that you need like a co-founder. Even if it's not a co-founder, it's like a president or C-suite, somebody that's your right hand because of that, the divide and conquer, double the work. Like there's so many reasons, you know, when you're burnt out, they're not, and vice versa.
Totally.
So yeah.
I'm the biggest fan of it. It's like, I'm like, why didn't I hire him 10 years ago? Well, he probably wouldn't have been attracted to the business then. Like he was going to join a business that was highly scalable, that was, you know, several $1 million in revenue. Like, you know, it took us a while to get to this place where I think we could attract top talent. But it is what it is. I can't go back in time. I am now the biggest advocate for a true number 2. I think the hard part is sometimes when you start a business, like who you bring on as that number 2 may not always be fit for like what you look like at a $50 million, $100 million, $200 million business, you know? So I think it's like, I'm so grateful to the early team of Sweet Loren's. They helped get the business off the ground. And those are the hard days. I mean, it gets harder now in a different way, but like those were the days where like you couldn't even see clearly what was going to happen. We were so working on product market fit. We were just holding on by a thread.
The grind days.
The grind of like, what factory is going to take us? How do we prove ourselves? No data on anything. You know, now we have data. Now we can buy data. Now we've been in the industry long enough. We have data where, you know, you can really say like, you know, it's not a do you like Sweet Loren's or not? Like we are leading this category. We are the growth of this category. We are the future of this category. You know, like now it's kind of more of like just a data conversation versus please just take a chance on me. You know, I promise I won't, you know, make you regret it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think team is everything. And as someone who really values like weekends and like kids and husband and just like feeling like I can have a full life and that my business isn't just everything, like a great president or number 2 has absolutely been the most incredible. I'm so passionate about talking about it because I never knew a relationship like this was possible.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. I think like the co-founder conversation is different to like hiring a COO or a president or something, especially when you've built it so far yourself. You know, like you want to protect that as well. And like, you know what your skill set is in the same way that you say, you know, maybe the early team couldn't be there at year 5 or at 50 million plus, like you need to also acknowledge what your weaknesses are at that stage.
Totally.
And find someone else to take them over.
And I think that's the biggest thing. Like I didn't try to bring on a co-founder because like it was my idea and it like just started, you know, like it's such a the second I started Sweet Loren's, like it had legs of its own, and and I just was rolling with it. And I tried to bring in people, but again, you can also bring in like the wrong people because you're just desperate. And so I always had like mentors around me to be like, just help me make sane decisions, because like I am going to be desperate at points, and I just want to make sure. And like it was just always nice to have someone who had been in business before either meet a potential hire or whatever to be like, nah, I'm getting a little spidey sense around there. And fast forward, I am really grateful that I don't have a co-founder, in the sense that like this is so deeply personal vision of mine that like I don't have to compromise it with anyone else or negotiate. But what I do have is an incredible team that can talk back if they don't believe in something, or like we can look at data and decide things together. It's now it's like it's a business that experts are really helping run. So, and I think it's really important to throw your ego out the window and just be like, definitely. I do not feel guilty that I don't love the operations. Like totally. I can do it. I can suck it up because I'll do it whatever I need to for this business. I am definitely, doing that blind though. There's so many things that could be improved. You start to see that, like you start to hire someone who's incredible at operations, or even like my president, I hired him in the first 6 months. He saved like $500,000 just cutting things that he'd seen in other companies. And I was like, what? Yeah. Like, what have we been wasting over this time? But you start to see like, wow, experts come with so much experience. Like they're not looking at this like it's first time.
Fresh eyes too.
And they can move fast and clean things up. And like, man, it feels good to talk to really smart people.
Yeah.
What's your biggest tip for building a lasting food or beverage brand in this crowded day and age?
I think it's just like, man, it's hard out there. It's like, I just think like the companies of yesterday, meaning like really like the decades ago kind of brands, I just feel like it was okay if they were one dimensional, kind of like they just were what they were. Whatever their packaging was fine. You take it for face value, and they're selling a product. I feel like people want now a brand that has soul and like personality and authenticity. And by the way, like they want you to have incredible packaging. They want to make you like, people want to feel something. Like they want to see this packaging and they want to be moved in a certain way. They want joy. They want to feel excited to eat something. They want to feel like they know what your product is already. They want to feel trust. I think that's so huge. Like, and they want to feel transparency. Like, I trust this company. I believe what they're saying. Like, and people analyze the way you do customer service, to how you write on the back of pack, to how you handle crazy things that happen. Like you have to be great at social media, great at building community. I think in food, you're not going to be successful if it's not delicious. If it's not delicious and you don't have great flavors and you don't have a memorable package, it's like very hard. You're going to get lost, Yeah. I think if you're selling something that's like, let's say a protein bar, like you might get away with not as great taste just because you're selling something with like high function. Someone is buying that for 20, 30, whatever grams of protein. But in really every other category, I think people can taste the difference in quality, whether it's cottage cheese or a type of non-dairy milk or pasture-raised eggs versus cage-free eggs, or, I think people just want more from their food. And so like, I think, it's so crowded out there, you have to be differentiated enough. Yeah. And if you really solve a problem and you're really differentiated enough, then I think there's like insane opportunity. Because I think almost every category could get improved. Yeah. There's so much more opportunity to like build a lovable brand that people just trust what you launch. And as long as you really listen to the customer feedback and, requests, and like really understand what they're missing in the market and answer it, like there's endless opportunity for innovation. Yeah. So I think like on the one hand, it's so exciting. On the other hand, it's like, you got to be ready to be great at all those things. Yeah. It's like not just about a great product anymore. Yeah. Yeah. That's like table stakes.
Loren, what's your hot take?
I know this is like, I'm still thinking kitchen food, but I'm just obsessed with baking in an air fryer or even a toaster oven. I think those things are so underrated. People don't realize like you don't have to turn on your whole oven. Like you can bake 1, 2, 3 cookies or whatever you want, really. I mean, you can't fit like a cake in a air fryer, but you know what I'm saying? Like as long as it's like a small thing that fits in there. Air fryers, toaster ovens, like the crispiest, easiest, best way to bake.
Are you guys going to launch on? I feel like that's what's coming.
I do everything in a toaster oven.
Okay, good. You ready to do it?
I don't have a microwave, no.
I don't have a microwave, but I don't have a toaster oven either.
We have a microwave.
You need one.
Oh, but a toast. Oh my God. I only turn on my oven at this point. I only turn on my oven when like I'm cooking for a lot of people or doing like several dozen cookies. But like to roast for like a family of 4 or whatever, like
easy.
So easy, and has a timer. So if it goes off, like it's not like on.
Yeah.
Less dishes.
Oh my God. I'm
into it.
I'm very into it. So you have to have the kitchen space, but like, yeah, don't sleep on the toaster oven or the air fryer just to bake. It bakes quick, less dishes. Don't have to like preheat your oven and like have the oven heat up the whole room. Like it's just way faster.
I do mine on 4 minutes and I eat them like a cookie soup.
Oh my God.
And my husband makes fun of me.
Soup.
No.
Yeah, like I make.
it's gooey.
I'm sure you have people that do that.
No, this is actually.
I do it 4 minutes
I'm
exactly,
interviewing
and
you
then
on
I'm
this.
literally a gooey soup girl in bed at night.
I want to
my
do.
God.
I want to do like
So good.
some social media interviews of like, what's your perfect Sweet Loren's cookie? Like, how do you make it? Because everyone has these like quirky, funny, like 4 minutes, 12 minutes, 10 minutes, 9 minutes exactly. You know, it's like.
Yeah.
With a spoon, you
And
know,
yeah,
I'm
with a
telling you,
spoon, yeah.
soft cookie dough. It's amazing.
I don't know.
I love that.
Thanks so much. That was such an inspiring, amazing story, and we can't wait to see where you take the brand.
Thank you guys so much for having me. This was so fun. I could talk to you guys for hours.
Oh my God,
I don't wanna
literally an
leave.
hour went by and I was like, it's been 5 minutes.
I thought it was like 20 minutes.
We started